It could cost you thousands upon $1,000 headache and time. Speaking of costly things, the top three things buyers, investors look for: having to tear up all the ground and dirt and trying to find out where the pipes are.
I know the market now, it's pretty tough. And some buyers or investors might think that inspections might not be that important and try to save on.
It's definitely an important part of the process, mainly because you want to make sure the home is structurally sound and safe to live in, and anything else that may be a deficiency, which means certain issues, whether small ones or your mechanical components, air conditioning, heating system, which we inspect as well, your water heater, your furnace, and things along those lines that can add up to cost, especially your roof and your foundation. Knowing and having that information at your fingertips can help you in your home buying process, so your agent can hopefully go and negotiate the selling price for you.
If I decide to skip, what is it going to cost me in the long term? What could cost me in the long term?
It could cost you thousands upon $1,000 headache and time. When you move into a home, you want to be able to move in with peace and comfort and a peace of mind knowing that you know exactly what's going on with the home. And when you don't get a home inspection, that can really, it's like rolling the dice, basically. It's just one of those things that could not end up good for you. If there's something wrong with the plumbing, that could cost a lot of things. If you have a leak, if it's a 2-story home, you have a leak in the ceiling, now you got that to deal with, or your water heater breaks and starts to leak. Your air conditioning goes out in the summertime, especially here in Texas, that wouldn't be a lot of fun at all.
No human being has laser eyes. But you did bring some goodies today to share with us. You can see what's happening from the outside of the walls, but there's pipes inside the walls that you might not be able to see, or other things. What are some things that you use as an inspector to present the most information possible, even inside the walls, although you don't see inside, you only see from the outside?
I do look for deficiencies on the outside and the inside walls that are common things. But I do have a few things. This right here, this little guy, it's come a long way, actually. This is a FLIR one. It's an adapter that attaches to my cell phone, and it turns my cell phone into a thermal camera. Back in the day, it used to be a handheld one. It was big and bulky. They've made it very compact and very easy to use. The pipes in the walls, you can't see them, but if there's a leak, this can detect moisture. And I also look for missing insulation, hot wire. If there's an electrical that's overheating, I can see that through the walls as well. I go around the entire home, the interior of the home, the walls and ceiling, and I provide pictures in the report.
This is for home buyers, the ones that are planning to live in the house. What about the investors? Would they need something like that? Or even like the home buyers, would they need something like that to keep at home? How useful can this be outside of the actual inspection too?
Oh, that'd be great. It's great for an investor and your average home buyer to have one handy. It's just like flashlights. You don't need it until you need it. But when you do need it, it comes in very handy. I would definitely want to keep these around the house in case maybe there's been a cold freeze at the time and you feel there's maybe a leak somewhere in the ceiling or walls. This will kind of help you pinpoint that and see that. That way you can call the plumber or whoever and say, I've located the moisture with this thermal, and this is where you need to look. Instead of going in and trying to figure out where it's at and tearing up walls and sheetrock and stuff, trying to find where it's at, you can easily pinpoint with that. And as far as investors, it's a very, very valuable tool because it's important to know if there's things going on behind the walls that we can't see. So we know to the extent of how much repairs and money we need to put into fixing a home. And hopefully there'll be nothing like that, but it's good to have that just so you'll know.
We had a situation on one of the flips that we were working on where we put shiplap on the wall behind the vanity and the toilet, and the pipes were plastic. When they put the shiplap, they shot nails into the wall, and they shot nails through.
I remember that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, and actually, it's a good thing you bring that because that can tend to happen, and it doesn't have to be PVC. It can be metal as well because the nails that they use can penetrate. That nail gun is very powerful and has a lot of pressure. It'll penetrate even a metal pipe. Cost you money as water is concerned. You're losing water and the materials.
We had to tear the wall. If we had the FLIR one at the time, we probably could have pinpointed the place where it was coming instead of tearing down the whole thing, trying to figure out where exactly it's at.
Yeah, absolutely.
What other gadgets did you bring with you? Because they look intimidating.
Well, I mean, they can be. To somebody who's not in the industry, it can look intimidating, but this is very high-tech stuff. And I use that because I want to make sure I'm providing the most accurate information I can to my clients. That brings a lot of value to them. and the real estate agents that I work with. This is called a sewer camera. And I use this on homes that are, say, maybe more than 30 years old, especially ones in the early 80s, because they were still using cast iron piping in the 80s. I attached this camera. This is actually the lens, and it has some very high powerful LED lights around here. So when I connect it and send it down the drain, I run it through. This is about a 100-foot cord. It allows me to go underneath and identify the type of piping material that they have, whether it's cast iron, PVC, and any other deficiencies. If there's a cracked pipe, or believe it or not, I've seen tree roots, because roots look for water. So of course they're in the drain pipes and they start to penetrate the drain pipes. And also they need bellies. Bellies are low areas, and those are deficiencies because things can get caught in there. But I take video and I provide the video and photos to the client as well. And I can either view, as the camera's going down through the pipe, I can either view it on this screen, or I connect the Wi-Fi to my phone and I can view where the camera's going on my phone as well. On new homes, sometimes construction debris can fall down into the drain pipe and cause clogging later. You want to make sure that's not happening. And also, we have freezes here in Texas. You want to make sure when it thaws out, the pipe from the pressure didn't cause any cracks or anything like that, because it can be very costly, especially because you have to dig it up. This is underground. This is all drain pipes underneath the house. It's not the ones underneath the sink. Those are fairly easy to access and repair if you need to, but the ones underground, having to tear up all the ground and dirt and trying to find out where the pipes are, like you said, kind of like the wall, right? Instead of digging up your whole backyard or front yard, you can pretty much pinpoint where the leak is or the deficiency is using this camera.
If you find any of these deficiencies, do you see any of the agents that you work with go back to their clients and try to negotiate some of these costs?
Absolutely. It's a very, very important item that homebuyers look at. Plumbing. Again, you don't want to move into a house and have to worry, is it going to clog today? Is it going to leak? Is there water going to be coming up in my lawn here in the next week or two? And you're constantly looking out for that and wondering in the back of your mind, and you just don't want that. So yeah, I've seen agents go back and negotiate those things with the seller.
Is part of an inspection fee?
This is an add-on feature. It's an add-on service. But with the home inspection, as we mentioned, the FLIR one went over that, that's included. The thermal imaging is at no additional cost. Also, speaking of costly things, the top three things buyers, investors look for is the roof, the air conditioning heating system, and the foundation. Okay. For the foundation, what I use here, this is, the technical term is an altimeter, but it's a commonly known as a zip level. This measures in tenths of an inch. It's very precise, and it allows me to go around the perimeter of the home. I provide a diagram of the home with the foundation measurements. And it's not very common that I find homes here in the area we live in that require further inspection for a foundation company to come out. There has been some seasonal moves because every home moves and settles to an extent. I include that in the report because it's very important, and we want to make sure our clients have all the information they need. They can keep it forever. Well, let's say it's a new home and 10, 15 years from now, they feel like the home is settled a little bit. They can have somebody come out or call us. We can come back out and measure again at that point in time and see the difference, see if there's really been significant movement or not. It's good information to have, and we are happy to provide that to our clients at no additional cost.
We spoke about the FLIR one for homebuyers and investors, that it's good for them to have it even after the inspection, just for making sure that their stuff at home is good or saving them money. What about the other two? Is this something worth for homeowners or investors to have, or that's more equipment that inspectors specifically would use and not so much at home?
Honestly, I feel like this is an amazing thing for investors to have because you're constantly buying homes. This allows you to go into piping every single home that you get. It allows you to go into the drainage and see what's going on in there for yourself. I would definitely want to have these handy if I'm a really aggressive investor, or even a few properties, doesn't matter. It allows you to do that. That way you can go ahead and take care of those issues if you want to on your own. As far as a homeowner, it all comes down to the value you want to get for what you're paying for. People don't mind paying for a home, but they just want to make sure they don't have to pay anything above and beyond what they are buying as a package. And these things definitely help. For a homeowner with freezes, you can definitely check on your own and see after the freeze and run this down there and make sure your pipes haven't cracked or anything like that. It's definitely something people would have around their home to help them out.
When I'm looking to choose an inspector, how do I go about doing that? What should I look for?
Going on Google, of course, is a good way of trying to find an inspector and making sure that you read the reviews about the inspector and that there's a common theme about the inspector and the service they provide, the professionalism and the helpfulness of the inspector, not just at the time of inspection, but afterwards, and that they communicate everything in a simple way and terminology, because a lot of people don't know the terminology that I know. They need to find somebody that would communicate for them easy to understand and explain things. Also, maybe through friends, word of mouth. I know agents have lists that they typically give to their buyers to choose from. That is one way, but again, for me, it's like doctors. You want to get more than just one opinion. You want to get a second opinion, maybe even a third, and see if there's a common recommendation that way, or call the inspector and talk to them. And that way you can get a good feel. I've had clients call me and they've talked to me over the phone and they were so happy with our conversation that we went ahead and booked their inspection right then and there.
When I call an inspector or when I talk to an inspection company, what should I ask? How do I know they're a good inspection company? What should I expect? How do I distinguish between many inspection companies that this is a good and this is maybe not so good?
Pick the top 3 inspection companies that you feel you want to call and speak to directly. Once you've reached that point, talking to the inspector, asking them, what do they provide in the report? I know fees are an important part of it, but honestly, it's what's included in that fee. Do you have to add on other things? If you add on this and add on that, add on the thermal, add on the foundation, the diagram. Some companies don't include these things and you have to pay for them extra. They're an add-on. What times they can come, their availability, when do they get the reports out? Because that's an important thing too. Sometimes option periods are very tight. Some people only have 2-3 days. Some people have 5-7. The Texas Real Estate Commission requires home inspectors to get the report out within 48 hours, which is 2 days. We, at McGlory Inspections, we get the report out the same day. Whether the inspection is in the morning or afternoon, we get it out the same day because we understand the option period can be tight. So we want to make sure that report is sent out that same night so the agent and the buyer can work together the next morning and get that ball rolling.
I've chosen an inspection company. Now the inspector is coming. And what should I do? Do I go with them throughout the house when they do the inspection? Or do I call them after the inspection and ask them questions? What's the process? What do I expect as a first-time buyer?
I don't really say buyers shouldn't be there during the inspection, but a lot of times people are working, whether it's from home or they have to go into work, and they don't really have 3.5 hours or more, depending on the size of the home and the age of the home, to just walk around with me. What I do encourage is the buyer after the inspection for the buyer and their agent to stop by and we go over the report. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to go over the deficiencies, and I answer any questions they may have, or if they want to see a certain deficiency that I found in the home, we can go take a look at it.
For those that have purchased before a home and gotten the report, or sometimes investors, first-time investors or second or third-time investors, they get the report and it's overwhelming. There's a whole lot of information there. So how should people tackle that?
Every home has a deficiency. There's no perfect home, whether it's a new home or not. There's no perfect home. You're always going to find something. What we do is we color code our deficiencies. We use 3 basic colors: blue, orange, and red. The blues colors represent the basic common repairs, a small crack in the corners or in the ceiling or something on the outside, just requires some caulking and sealing. The orange colored items represent something that needs to be further evaluated. Let's use the water heater, for example. Let's say there's a lot of rust around the water heater. There's rust in the drain pan. That tells me, and I indicate in the report, that there was obviously an issue prior or a current issue, and I can't really determine what that is because I'm not a water heater person or a plumber. So it's recommended that a plumber come out and take a look at that and find out what the problem was and see what's going on with it. Provide that to the client. That's an instance of the orange. Red means a safety concern or a code concern because there's certain things that homes need to follow as far as codes. An example of that would be arc fault protections in your electrical panel, in the sub panel. Prior to 2015, those weren't required in home construction for electrical panels, but now they are after 2015. And those basically control your general lighting, your dishwasher, microwave, things along those lines. It's just an added measure of protection so nobody gets shocked. Once that's all said and done, we're going over the report. I typically recommend clients to get with their agents because their agents have knowledge as well. They're experienced and they've helped buyers before. I typically recommend to focus on the reds and the oranges and tackle those first as far as negotiations are concerned. And the blues, everybody's handyman level is experience is different. Some people can tackle those things, some can't. It's just a matter of how a handyman can take care of those simple cosmetic things. But I think the more focus which should be on the reds and the oranges.
On the report, I should expect 3 tiers of severity, which are coded in blue, orange, and red. And I should start looking at the red immediately, then move on to orange and then blue, the cosmetic stuff that might not require my attention immediately. With the reds and maybe the oranges, if I to go back to negotiate, or my agent would go back and negotiate these items, how would I know how much to negotiate? What would I do? How would I go about putting a dollar sign to it?
There's a lot of people that move from out of state here to Texas. Everybody's coming to Texas, which is the greatest ever. But they don't have any handyman people available. And sometimes agents don't really have access to those individuals as well. So included, and again, this is something that other inspection companies charge for. This is something that's in the report, the repair cost guide, and you click on that link and it pulls up nationwide cost guide. It's the average prices of, let's say, things that are wrong with the roof. It has a bunch of pricing for that, plumbing, electrical, so on and so forth. And in the report itself, you click on the top button to create an invoice. What that does is it automatically pulls up every deficiency that I found in the home, that particular home that day. You can filter those deficiencies to be only the reds and the oranges. Let's just say you want to tackle those. You can cross-reference what the electrical problem is with the pricing guide sheet. And at the header up top of the invoice, you can type in whatever you'd like for it to say. Let's give an example that all repairs will be done by licensed professionals. Once you go through the entire report, all the reds and oranges, and have everything, it totals everything at the bottom for you. You click on review and it pulls up the invoice. It has a picture of the deficiency, the description of the deficiency, and the price that you put in there. And at the bottom, it has the total. Agents absolutely love that because it saves them time from having to call different people. How much you charge for this? How much you charge for that? It's not a precise and specific price, but it's a ballpark. It's a good estimate that it will give you. Once you're happy with that invoice, all you do is type in the seller's agent's information and send it. It's that simple. And like I said, that is also at no additional cost.
That's awesome.
Completely free. A lot of inspection companies partner with a third-party company that can do all this, but we provide that in the report. That's a very, very valuable tool for agents and investors and buyers to have.
Why do you do what you do, guys?
For me, it's about helping people. And I love doing it. If you're doing what you love and you can also help people at the same time, I think that's the best thing you can ever do in life. It's just fulfilling, seeing families get into their home and create memories. That's really what it's all about. It's making sure people are helped. I can't completely take away their stress and the headaches, but as far as their home buying process, I want to be an important part of that. We also prayed a lot, and we wanted to do something other than home inspections for people. And it was put in our heart to come up with an initiative called Share the Blessings. And what that means is that there's families that can't come up with a down payment or enough for closing costs, or they need furniture or a washer, dryer, refrigerator, necessities for basic living. What we're doing is for every inspection fee we receive, a portion is being set aside into a special funding account. We also have loan officers and title companies that will help donate to the cause as well to help these families get into the home.
Having the Share the Blessing initiative, it's amazing. Sometimes people might have for the closing cost, or they're scraping every penny they have for that closing cost. But a lot of times we overlook the fact that when we move into a home, there's so many more things to buy. Having a group of people in the industry come together and putting the funds together to donate, it's a powerful thing.
Absolutely. There's families that they're not in the position to get all the things you just mentioned, but it means the world to them. And a lot of things that sometimes other people might take for granted, these people would truly appreciate. And just to see the spark in their face and smile, that's the best thing I said before. It's about giving back and how it can make you feel inside. And that's what it's all about.
We're going to include the list of all these gadgets in the description below for everyone to go and check them out, read the description, see what they are, see what they do in more details. And if you want to get any of these to have in your back pocket whenever things come up in your home and you're prepared to save money rather than busting through walls like
definitely worth the investment.
In the case of the investment home that we went through. Martin's information, Mercury inspection is going to be also in the description below, so give him a call, interview him, talk to him. One last thing before we let every guest go, we're going to ask, what are the most embarrassing thing that you've had to experience?
I did happen to wear shorts this particular day, and there's some areas out in Lago Vista that really aren't that fully developed. They're building new houses out there. So I'm out doing the exterior, and all of a sudden I feel this heat towards my backside. And I'm like, what in the world? And I really didn't pay much attention to it. And I just swatted my shorts. I walked into the garage and I felt it again, but in a different area. What in the world's going on? And I felt it again. Luckily, the home was vacant. There was nobody there. And I don't know if the neighbors were out and about when I was, but I had to take my shorts off right then and there. And it turns out I had wasp stings, 3 big, my leg just whelped up. No more shorts. Ever since then, I have not worn shorts. Summer or not, I have not worn shorts again. It was kind of an embarrassing moment for me because I had to do that, but nobody was home.
The agent could have walked in on
the agent, whoever, anybody walked in and it would have been like, what is this inspector doing? Who did I hire? That's not something I commonly do. But when you feel like your leg's on fire and you don't know why, you want to get it off. So,
all right. Well, thank you for sharing. I know being vulnerable and
not thinking now that everybody out there knows about that situation. I had to pull my shorts off.
Thank you for coming and sharing all the awesome stuff with us. Appreciate it.